Hey everyone, what's going on? Today I'm going to talk about the 10th month of being a dad. So, it was Christmas and New Year's, and things went pretty well. Similar to Thanksgiving, we were around some different people, and he did reasonably well. My cousin has a son who's less than a year older than Nicholas, but of course, development wise, they're like, he's like, 9 or 10 months, and my cousin's kid is like 20 months or something like that. So there's a pretty big difference between them now, but I'm sure in the future they'll be pretty good friends, hopefully. And my mother in law is still staying with us. So she was in the United States for her first Christmas here and saw snow for the first time and things like that. So December was a pretty exciting month for her. We have some videos of her acting like a little kid, kind of throwing snowballs and practically doing snow angels in the snow and things like that. So maybe some of you who experienced snow as an adult for the first time can kind of relate to that. It brings out the child in you. But that was fun to watch. Nicholas got some presents for Christmas that he likes. We're trying to just give him a couple toys per week or something like that, like one new toy per week or two new toys per week, and kind of rotate them in. He's very curious, but obviously kind of gets bored of toys or doesn't really notice them after a little while. So we're trying to keep things fresh. My wife and I have had some conversations about how we're going to deal with future Christmases with Nicholas. I don't think we're the type to spoil him, but my parents and other family members are the type to spoil him. So we're trying to figure out how to balance that and have conversations with them about like what is and what's not appropriate and what's best for him in the long run versus just giving him as many toys as possible when he's 3 years old and then he kind of gets spoiled. So we're trying to manage that. It's not something that we really have to address right now, but obviously in the fairly near future, within the next few years, we definitely will have to do that. So I think her and I are both on the same page with that. Um, Maybe limit family members to one present, and maybe we give one present as well, and then maybe donate a few presents to charity for other kids that don't have them or something like that. So I think that could be a decent solution. He won't understand that concept when he's 3 or 4 years old, but as he gets a little bit older, that could be a good life lesson for him. And my relationship with my wife has been good overall this month. There was maybe a couple rocky months at the beginning where we were adjusting to being parents and adjusting our relationship together, but I think we've got back on track with trying to go on a date at least once every couple of weeks. We at least try to set aside a little bit of time so we can connect on a similar level that we used to connect on maybe 5 years ago or 7 years ago when we were together and didn't have kids and our life was a lot simpler. We weren't as worried about money. We weren't as worried about making big life decisions. We were just kind of like floating by. So if we can replicate that same sort of feeling, at least, one afternoon a week or something like that, it kind of takes you away from what's going on right now with our lives and the fact it's a little bit crazy and I'm trying to work quite a bit and she's trying to take care of Nicholas and raise him well, and we're trying to make decisions about potentially our future, not just living in, say, the town we're in or the state, but potentially moving to a different state within the United States or even Brazil is a legitimate option within the next year or two. So, especially on that front, that's probably a big thing that some people listening to might have a decision of, look, we're from different countries and we can make a decision of one country or another. In theory, you could live in one for a couple of years and then kind of bounce back and forth. But practically speaking, by the time your children are age 4 or 5 years old, you probably have to choose one country where you're going to spend the majority of your time and sort of establish your life there. So those are pretty deep and important conversations that we've been having. Probably the only major update of that month in regards to what has significantly changed is the option within the next year of potentially moving to Brazil, what that would look like in terms of how we're going to make money, where we're going to live, what sort of lifestyle we would have, the positives and negatives of that for both ourselves and our family and Nicholas, but also potentially future children, like talking about if my wife were to get pregnant there and we had our child there, what are the logistics behind that, and how would that shape our lives, and that sort of thing, and what would be the impact on her family and our family, both positive and negative, if we did something like that. So I'll keep you updated with how that comes along. The last thing I'm going to talk about today would be my mental state. I would say I am not in as good of a position mentally and emotionally as I have been throughout most of my life. At times, I've had some anxiety and a little bit of difficulty getting through the day to day, depending on what's going on in my life. But overall, things have been pretty good for me. I've never been in a situation where I'm wondering where my next meal comes from and things like that. So, compared to a lot of people in the world, I've had a lot less struggles with meeting the basic a roof over my head and food and basic medical care that I need and things like that. But I would say, in terms of figuring out how to provide financially for my family, it's been a little bit difficult. I can make okay money, but we also live in a very high cost of living area, and trying to juggle decisions like, do we have our son in daycare or does my wife work, and things like that has been a little bit difficult for us to make decisions on. So far, we've erred on the side of spending more time with him and less time making money. But yeah, so my mental state has been not the greatest. Sleep has been not the greatest at times. And I'm trying to work on that personally. And it has improved. Okay, so my son and wife are over here making an insane amount of noise. And she's apologizing, but it's probably 2 minutes too late. But my son is sitting in a box and we're kind of pulling him around, and it's a fun little like ride for him, I guess. Okay, bye-bye, ciao. Anyways, back to the video. So in terms of managing that, I haven't come up with the best solutions ever, other than, buying lottery tickets once in a while just to kind of fix the financial problems and whatever. But I think it's just a big transition for me mentally. I've talked about this in other videos. It's a little bit difficult for me to express in words, but my anxiety has gone up. My ability to manage my emotions has gone down. And I think a lot of it comes down to him, me wanting to be a good father, spend time with him and help him grow and develop and things like that. And then balancing that with work. But I've talked with some other people about it, and it seems like the first year or two of being a parent is just very difficult. And most people go through some of those transitions where they're changing and they're learning how to cope with different emotions and different thoughts and different priorities in life. So I'm not trying to overthink it too much. One of the ways I'm trying to deal with things mentally and emotionally is by making these videos so I can get out my thoughts on paper, kind of like journaling before you fall asleep to get out your thoughts so your mind is not racing all night and you can get a good night's sleep. So I'm trying different strategies like that, and this is one of them. We'll see how that goes, and I'll keep you updated, but that's all I have for today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.